Hello everybody and welcome back to the final video of this video series where I'm making a decorative vase covering glass with polymer clay and installing handcrafted blue butterflies on top of that. As you can see right off, there has been a change in the design element. This is no longer pinkish looking, it's white, which I believe gave amazing contrast for these butterflies. In this video, I'm going to show you what I did to make these changes, and you'll get to see me button this project up. I will leave links in the video description of this video of all the videos involved, including the one where I made the blue butterfly years ago. I do hope you enjoy. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, before I start putting the butterflies on this, there was a few things that I said I wanted to do to this, which was fix this bottom area and repair a couple little cracks. Right now what I need to do is dig this crack out a little bit so material can go in there, because it's a very fine line. So I'm just going to take something sharp and begin carefully digging down into that. This is so material can get down inside there and it could be a more solid fix as opposed to just trying to force some, liquid Sculpey in there and then putting that clay I got left over on top of it. And then I have one right here. I'll do the same thing. I go to the end where it stops. Now I waited quite a few days for this to finish doing its thing, and they haven't got any bigger, so I know it's done doing its weird thing. Okay, these are dug out pretty good. Now I can mix me up some of the clay. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, what I have here is a piece of that clay. I just took a small piece out and I have just a tool. I want to try to do this without touching it as much as possible, so it just doesn't get all over my fingers. And of course I got the translucent liquid Sculpey. I put a piece of wax paper on top of this marble just to keep this moisture off of it, just for the sake of being clean about things. Most people put the translucent on the actual item first and then put clay over it. I'm going to mix a good size amount into the clay. That way I know it's really good, and I can even put a little bit still with a paintbrush onto the actual vase. So anyhow, I'm just going to start off with, now I'll just mix this up thoroughly so it can absorb all that liquid. This will enhance this clay in such a way where it'll bond to the baked clay automatically, because this is the stuff you use to adhere raw clay to baked clay. If you don't use this, there's a great chance that it will snap off, break off. I can feel it getting very moist and tacky, which is a great thing for this situation, because that's what we're wanting it to do, is stick to that other baked clay. See how easily that's compressing? That's because I loosened it up with this. Okay, I think I got a good decent angle for you to see this. I got my tacky clay right here, and I'm going to dump a little more of this, just a little bit. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm just using a little bit of this with this paintbrush just to be 100% sure that I got a good film on here. I'm going to paint it in this crack. Normally that's all you do right there. You don't do all the mixing that I did just a while ago, but that's just what I want to do. I'm just going to take little pieces and compress it into that crack. Try to fill it up. It doesn't have to be pretty, because it'll most likely get sanded again. Trying to roll it into that crack. Really good. And I'm protecting the vase with a little rag, because I got it sitting on a hard surface in an awkward way. That's just me being cautious. But it's an old dirty rag. Well, not dirty, it's just a scrap rag. It's clean, I swear. Now I'm ready to do this little crack right here. Putting a real thin film on there. That's really all you need. That's all that's going to go on for when I actually put the butterflies on. If you soup it on, it has a chance of just sliding right on down. And since I'm putting raw clay on this baked clay, this has to be baked pretty soon. Within a day. I wouldn't let it just sit. I had an experience with the piranha plant where I assumed that you could just let it wait forever, and that was definitely not the case. And it caused cracking and crumbling where the new fresh clay corrupted the clay that was already baked. So that's probably one of the cons to baking in stages. You have to bake it every time you add new clay. This will obviously have to be touched up with some sandpaper, but it's just a small little area. It should sand fairly easily. Okay, I'm ready to go to put some butterflies on this vase. What I did here is I basically stenciled out the silhouette of one of these butterflies and cut me 7 little temporary butterflies out of paper, some computer paper. And I put them on here what I thought would be kind of random. I even got one of them is upside down. Yeah, this one right here is upside down. But I put them on here. It never hurts to do a little bit of planning, to have a game plan. That way I don't put too many in one area or whatnot. And as you can see, when I rotate it, it's pretty broke up a little bit here. I got them up here in the cracking. I'm not like favoring any areas or whatnot. So, and also what I got my little butterfly parts down here. It's not often I say something like that. And this is a lid to a water bottle. That's that TLS, translucent liquid Sculpey. This will make it easy to get to it and without messing up everything else. Got me a little paintbrush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull off one at a time and build each butterfly right on the actual vase. And I'm going to stick to my little planning because I liked how it looked. That's the whole purpose of it. So here's the back side of this little butterfly, the body. I'm going to dip my brush in here and paint on the bottom side of it, the whole surface of it. And I don't want it to be too thick either. I don't want this to slide or do anything weird. So I got something like that. And then I'm going to work it on there. I don't think that's going to go anywhere, but you really only need a thin film on there. I'm just going to remove that. Dry it up a little. That's way better. It takes a very, very little bit of this to work. So I'll have to keep that in mind when I go to do the next one. And now I'm going to do the head. Now these are not how butterfly heads look. I know that. But that's okay. This is just a work of art, and art can be abstract. That looks really good. See how that mates to it? Looks really, really good. Okay, so far so good. Now I have 2 wings here. This is going to go up by the head, somewhere around in there. Same thing, do the back side of this. The entire surface has to be somewhat coated. Before I push that down, I'm going to get the other one ready. Double checking my orientation here. So this is the back side right here. You might hear of some people using nothing. They just attach clay to clay and bake it. And it may work, it may not work. I can tell you right now, it's not a very strong bond that you need. You really do need the liquid Sculpey when adhering pieces together. I'm going to sand these butterflies, just the butterflies. Well, also any repairs that were made, that'll be sanded too. Okay, the tips of the wing are really on there. I got this on the body, seemingly pretty nice. Looks like one is a little bit further down than the other. See if I can't correct that just by messing with it. Looks like I got it. I'm trying to make it to where there's not much air in behind it. I know that changes it makes it weird shaped, but that's okay. I don't really mind. At this point, I don't mind. Looks like it's made it on there pretty well, and that looks actually kind of neat. It really does. I'm gonna make sure the bottom is wrapped around too. This is for stability, structural stability of the wing itself. Because if it could break, me touching it or whatnot. If there's air behind it, you can crush it. Because these are, I don't know how strong these are. I can't even remember what kind of clay I used, what brand to make that cane, the butterfly cane. So it looks like I got one done. I'm pretty happy with that. There's hardly any space in between or behind that. Now I'm going to do another butterfly right here. Learning from the last one, I'm going to put this on way thinner, but still cover the whole area. This is a weird angle right here. I did a lot better about not making it too wet this time around. It's locking on there pretty well. And I'm doing this in stages. I'm putting the body on and working it on first and then doing the wings because it's less agitation and less messing up of the wings. Using the stuff that was left over on that brush. Wishing I had smaller fingers. But here's another set of wings, and they're orientated like this. I got a streak from where I cut it, and it seems to be on both sides, so it don't matter. Which side's the best? This side? Yes, this looks like the best side, so I'm going to go with this side. That means I paint the back sides of, starting with this. Doesn't hurt to take a couple looks. Double check and triple check, as opposed to greasing up the wrong side and messing up a wing. Okay, here we have it. From here it'll go in the oven at 275 degrees for 15 minutes. This looks absolutely amazing. Okay, I decided to make a last minute change in the design element of this. I don't really like the color of this, so I decided I wanted to paint this white. And to do so, I needed to tape off all these butterflies. But before taping off this last one, I wanted to show you how the sanding turned out, doing these butterflies. I sanded this with 400 grit sandpaper, and it is very ultra sharp. The image becomes more enhanced. Your cane work will become more enhanced after sanding it. There's really not that many rough marks from the sanding because I used 400 grit, but any little imperfections will be filled in. They'll actually disappear when I use the shellac when I seal this. This little butterfly, however, had a little air pocket in it, as you can see right here, and it's quite deep, so I was unable to lose that during the sanding process. If I were to sand that all the way down to where it disappeared, I probably would lose the whole wing because it was really deep. It's no big deal. It's a very tiny spot. I have the camera like 6 inches away from this butterfly, so that's why it looks big, but it's almost hard to tell. It just looks like a detail of the butterfly. I'm going to be using white acrylic paint to paint the whole base, the whole item basically. This is just regular white acrylic paint from Plaid. Using my airbrush really simplifies the painting process of this. instead of using a paintbrush. Also, it doesn't leave any streaks like the bristles would, and it also speeds things up, and it'll give it an automotive look, a really good finish as opposed to using just brush strokes. Okay, the painting is now done, and you know what? If I was on the fence about this design element change before, I am not now. The contrast I have having this white compared to that weird beigey pink look, it's just fantastic looking. So here I pulled off a couple so I can see them. I'll pull off one right now for you to see. There might be little touch-ups need to be done, like right here there's a little bit of paint. I can lightly sand this with 400 grit before I seal this. Get these touched up however they need to be, and I'll be good to go. But now this is completely painted. I have what seems to be at least 5 or 6 coats of white on here. Okay, this is Bullseye Shellac from Zanzer. I buy this from Lowe's. This is the product that I use to seal my projects. It is amazing. Even after years and years of sitting, it does not get sticky, it does not get tacky. I've been using it from the start, and I've had amazing results with it. One can seems to go a really long ways, and it seems to have a pretty decent shelf life too. Because I go a long time sometimes in between projects. This product also comes in liquid form where you can use it to brush on with a brush. I haven't used that, so I can't say anything for it. I just strictly use the spray can. It's best to use this stuff outside because it has a lot of fumes. I start off with a very light coat. This is what you would call a tack coat. You can't really build it up fast at first because it'll just run. And then I'll let it sit for a little while, and I come back. And a good tip is to not touch the project, but you can touch the wax paper that I use to protect the work surface. Touch that instead. Tacky or dry, either one, you're ready to add some more of the product. The second coat, you can add just a little bit more, and it's really good to use the sun, the light from the sun, the shine, to judge how wet it is, because it's real easy to build up too much of this stuff and you'll have sags or runs. Also, you have to watch out for bird feeders because they may be in your way too. So after the second coat, I let it sit for a little longer, just long enough for it to become tacky, just like last time. And as you go from coat to coat, you can add a little more. You'll find that you can actually add a little more. It's just like painting a vehicle. You start off with the tack coat, and your first couple coats are light, and you can get a little more aggressive with it. More. You can add more to it. I did take this project and turn it upside down so I can get the bottom sides of these butterflies. And I also sealed the bottom of it too, just for fun. But once it's all completely sealed, I usually let it sit out in the sun for a few hours to where it's completely dry to the touch. This way everything is protected. Also, the butterflies were actually dull looking. They didn't have any luster to them because I sanded them. But when you spray this stuff on stuff that's been sanded, this will take the haze out. The transformation after using it is just unreal. I remember every project I make, I would be amazed at what I made, but then when I add this stuff to it, it just totally takes it to a whole nother level. Not only that, it protects it. But guys, that's pretty much it for this little mini series. I really appreciate you for taking the time to being a part of it and for hanging out with me during it. Let me know what you think about this project in general. And this is going to be one of the very first things that I feel comfortable with making for the public. So let me know if you are interested in getting one of these from me. I would really appreciate the feedback at any rate on what you think. Do you like it? Could you see me making different color butterflies and maybe painting the base different colors? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But once again, I thank you for taking the time to watch this, and until next time, I will see you here again soon.